Hello YouTube. It's been a while, but I do have a new pop culture stuff that I like to get up to, update to do. Yeah, I don't know why it's taken me so long to get more stuff done. I haven't completed that many games. I'm in the middle of a lot of them. I got transferred to a new school and I don't get a chance to read as much on my breaks and stuff anymore, so I haven't gone through as many books as usual. So it's just kind of, there's been a bit of a slowdown, but I did eventually get some stuff done here. And first up is the latest book I finished. It is Thrawn, Treason. In this book, it takes place during the whole building of the Death Star. Well, Grand Admiral Thrawn is stationed on Lothal from the Rebels, Star Wars Rebels TV show, and dealing with Hera and her little band of rebels and stuff like that. And so basically, Grand Admiral Thrawn is called to meet with the Emperor, Grand Moff Tarkin, and Director Krennic, who is in charge of the Death Star project, which at this time is secretly known as Stardust. And he, Grand Admiral Thrawn, is in the middle of his TIE Defender project, a brand new wave of TIE fighters that come with hyperdrives and shields, all the stuff the usual ones don't. So, and he believes this project has merit. However, funding for his Defender program is at risk of going towards Stardust, so he's kind of concerned about that. So they get called to have a meeting with the Emperor, and Tarkin kind of manipulates things to say, well, if Grand Admiral Thrawn can solve the problem that Krennic is having right now with Stardust, maybe we can find some funding for his Defender project. So Grand Admiral Thrawn is told the nature of this problem. There's a species of Minox, the cousins of Minox, called Growlix, and they're basically attacking ships that are bringing the supplies to the Stardust construction site and causing them to, they're munching on them and causing the hyperdrives to malfunction and shoot off into hyperspace to be lost forever, sort of thing. So Grand Admiral Thrawn is tasked with solving this Growlix problem and doing it in a very tight timeline. So, of course, Krennic wants him to succeed, but not quickly, so that he can solve his problem, but not still get his funding back because he's on this tight timeline. So it's basically just Thrawn using his tactical logic, super sharp mind to solve this problem, and he sees all the little things along the way that nobody else can. And as it goes along, there's these species of aliens called Grisks that come into play, and he just, it's not a mystery, but it's kind of a when dealing with Thrawn, he just has this way of thinking about things and deducing things, and you never know how he's going to solve a particular problem and get to a certain conclusion, right? So it's always neat to see how things unfold with him, and that's just what the rest of the story is, him solving this problem and in an interesting kind of way, right? So very good book. Next up, The New Mutants. Finally watched the movie. I think it takes place back in the maybe late 90s or early 2000s. There's a young Native American girl named Danny Moonstar, I think her name is, and her village is attacked in the middle of the night. It was told it was a hurricane or something like that, or whatever, or no, a tornado, something, but it was actually something a little more supernatural that attacked her village. She was the lone survivor. She ends up in this facility, excuse me, run by a woman named Dr. Reyes, and Dr. Reyes informs Danny that you are a mutant and your powers just came in, and we gotta teach you what they are, how to control them so that you can be safe and stuff like that. So she meets 4 other kids that are in this facility. Bobby DaCosta, whose tragedy in his life is that he burnt his girlfriend to death. He can control fire. Ilya Rasputin, sister of Peter Rasputin, Colossus of the X-Men. So she also has the little dragon Lockheed. She shares him with Shadowcat, sort of thing. Who are the other ones? Rain Sinclair, who is like, she can shift into like a werewolf or a wolf. Not a werewolf, a regular wolf. And then the 4th one is Sam Guthrie, who can like fly at these supersonic speeds and bounce around everywhere. So she gets thrown in with these four, and they all believe they're being trained to become X-Men and stuff like that. That's why they're ultimately being taught to control their powers and whatnot. And not long after Danny gets there, everybody there starts having these weird visions and stuff like that. Oh, the cellophane, still the little bits are stuck to the case. It's like unbelievable with the static. Yeah. And so eventually they all start having these visions, and they figure out that it's Danny's mutant powers, that she can make people see visions of certain things in their life, and in this case it's all bad things, the traumas in their life that have kind of got these people to release their mutant genes and stuff. And so Dr. Reyes talks to the head honchos behind the asylum or whatever it is, and they say, get a sample of her DNA and then terminate her. So from there on, things get a little hairy, and it's kind of like a suspense horror film within this asylum as the kids band together and try to escape and defeat Dr. Reyes, who herself is a powerful mutant, and discover the truth behind the whole thing. So very good movie. I didn't hear too many things about it, whether people liked it or not. But that's the way movies have been lately with COVID, because you can't go to the theater and stuff. So, but I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Next up, I don't have a case for this, but we watched The King of Staten Island, which... This is a movie by Pete Davidson of Saturday Night Live, and it kind of mirrors his real life situation to a certain degree. His father died in 9/11. He was a firefighter, and he died in that. So this movie is Pete Davidson is the main character. He stars as Scott, a mid-20s kind of loser that still lives at home, gives his mother Margie a lot of trouble. His sister Claire is like, I'm going to college, dude. You got to get your shit together. I can't be here to keep bailing you out. And, you know, he's just smokes dope all the time. He wants to become a tattoo artist, but he's not very good, and he's just kind of a loser. Smokes a lot of weed, and so he's got a lot of issues around his father dying young as a firefighter. And so one day, him and his buddies are out clowning around, and this young kid, Harold, a 9-year-old, kind of stumbles in on the scene, and Scott's like, do you want a tattoo, kid? Like, the kid asks about his tattoo gear, and he's like, yeah. So he starts and gets only a little bit on him, and then the kid's like, ah, and he runs off home. Sooner or later, this kid and his dad show up on Scott's doorstep, and his mother, Margie, is like, I'll discipline him, you know, I'm really sorry. And the dad, Ray, is like, you're going to pay for this removal and all this stuff. And then eventually these two kind of form a love connection, which makes Scott crazy, because this guy's also a firefighter, of course. And not only that, he seems like kind of an ass, but he's also a firefighter, and Scott, of course, has hang-ups about firefighters, and firefighters shouldn't have children because they die, right? So he's got all these issues. So the rest of the movie is him kind of dealing with this relationship between his mother and this new guy, Ray, and he tries to end it and get Ray in trouble. He gets kicked out of the house eventually, and so it's this kind of coming of age for Scott, as he eventually, after he gets kicked out, the only place he has to turn is to Ray at the fire station, because Ray has also been kicked out by Margie after they have a kind of a fight in the backyard. Scott and Ray have a fight in the backyard, and so he ends up staying at the fire station for a while, and while he's there, he starts to work around the fire station. He starts to develop a bit of respect for firefighters and Ray, and you know, he's been walking his kids to school and stuff like that, so he's just, it's kind of this coming out of his shell, and starting to maybe not be such a neurotic, shiftless layabout sort of thing like that. And in the end, it helps his whole life, because this girl, Kelsey, a friend he's had forever that he's been sleeping with, who's always wanted more from Scott, he kind of realizes he's been a dick to her too. So it kind of solves that relationship too. So it's just this coming of age of Scott to a certain degree as he goes through all these experiences and stuff. It's actually a really good movie. It's a comedy, but it's kind of one of those weird kind of, not dark comedy, but kind of serious life situation comedies. And it's got a lot of cool people in it. What's her face? His mom, Margie, in the movie is, you know, Spider-Man's aunt, the hot old lady. I forget her name. But anyway, really good movie. Next up, finished Ratchet and Clank, Up Your Arsenal on the PS2. This is the third game in the Ratchet and Clank series on the PS2. And actually the fourth overall, because I think Secret Agent Clank on the PSP also came before this, because they mentioned Secret Agent Clank in the game. Basically, Ratchet and Clank are living in a penthouse apartment on this planet after their last adventure, and they get contacted that Ratchet's home planet of Veldin is under attack, and so him and Clank zip there and team up with the Galactic Rangers to defeat this threat. And then afterwards, Ratchet and Clank are kind of drafted into the Rangers to lead the defense of the universe or the galaxy against this foe that's attacked Veldin, because they find out it's a guy named Dr. Nefarious who is behind this attack, and he's got lots more in store. He's actually building kind of like a Death Star to take over the world, sort of thing, right? So, so they kind of lead the charge against this Dr. Nefarious. They meet up with this girl named Sasha, who commands the Starship Phoenix, and I think which is the head of the Galactic Rangers, I think. So that's kind of their home base in between missions. They go back to the ship and do that sort of, and like, stock up and all that. And their first step, though, is locating Captain Quark, who has gone missing, because he is the only one to have faced Dr. Nefarious and defeated him, and otherwise not much is known about this villain. So they got to go find him, and then once they have Quark in their possession, and they can maybe make a battle plan and take the fight to Dr. Nefarious. So it's the same formula of Ratchet and Clank, just with some new modifications to it. You travel from planet to planet and figure out the next piece of information that you need before you move on to the next, and then eventually, of course, end up at the final boss and defeat the game. Really good. I haven't played a bad Ratchet and Clank game yet, and I've played the first 3 plus Secret Agent Clank on the PSP. So it's a safe bet. It's about as safe a bet as you can get. Next up, unfortunately, I didn't get to play this game on the PS2, Heroes of the Pacific. It's like a wartime kind of, I think, dogfighting airplane game. I got it used, and I got it, it was years ago, so I can't even really take it back, I don't think. But the disc is really scratched up, and when I first had it in there, it was playing fine, and it did crash eventually. But when I tried to reload it after that, every time it just got stop, especially when it was doing the load times. It would just keep going around and around. The music kept resetting. So I might try it after I finish all the other PS2 games I have to play, when I have nothing else to play, and I could just maybe pick at that. If it's having a good night, I can get some in. But otherwise, it looked like a really fun game. I did part of the tutorial. Graphics were good. The gameplay was good. It just looked like a really fun game. So it's too bad it didn't work. Next up, NHL Blades of Steel 99. For the N64. I bought this game used as well, and it was a little rough around the edges. The original Blades of Steel on NES is far superior, but just this one had a bit of control issues to it. But you could work around them and get used to it, but still it wasn't as natural as the original Blades, and the games look vastly different as well. So, but I didn't get to complete it because my game save data went corrupt at some point halfway through the season. I was like, I've already played half a season. I can't do this again, right? Yeah, it was a typical hockey game of the late 90s. You had a season mode, an exhibition mode. You could go straight to the playoffs and just do a playoff run mode, and that's about it, right? So graphics were a bit rough around the edges. Gameplay was tough. Doing long passes, your player always seemed to skate away from the pass. And so there was some definite weirdness to it. You got used to it though, and you adjusted, and it did end up being a pretty good game. But there's way more better hockey games out there than this. But it's still worth a play, and it is fun. Last up, Iron Maiden's Brave New World. I was gonna say Brand New World. I'm like, no, it's not brand new. It's Brave New World. Yeah, Brave New World. What I believe to be the 12th studio album from the band, released in the year 2000. And apparently it featured the return of a couple of long-standing members, one of which was Bruce Dickinson, the lead singer. I had no idea that he left in 1993 for a while, and then he came back in 2000. I thought once he got on originally, I didn't think he had left. So, but I buy my Maiden discs just when they're on sale, so I've never got them in order, so I never really know what year is what year and who's there and who's not, right? But anyways, this is typical Maiden. Long songs, long fucking solos and jams and double bass going crazy. Bruce Dickinson's "In a Brave New World," like just right. So Um, and what I like about Maiden, and there's quite a few heavy metal bands out there like that, but they have this like vibe about them. Like I could see Maiden's songs; they're kind of these dreamlike, mystical sounding songs that could be placed in a movie where something serious has happened and a character has to overcome something, and there's this Maiden song going in the background, and it's the perfect accompaniment to a moment like that, right? It's just got this uplifting dreamlike quality to them, even though a lot of the times they're pretty heavy and stuff, right? So in the subject matter, it's like, you know, the Wicker Man, the Ghost of the Navigator, Brave New World, the Mercenary, you know, the Fallen Angel. It's the Nomad. It's all about life and death and discovery and the beginnings of the world, the end of the, you know, it's got a lot of elements like that, and it's instantly recognizable as Maiden, right? So on this disc, my favorite songs were The Wicker Man. Blood Brothers is amazing. Dream of Mirrors, also amazing. And Out of the Silent Planet, probably those would be my favorite ones on this disc. The whole thing is good. It's about just over an hour long, you know, an hour and 6 minutes or something like that. But yeah, another great Maiden entry in the Maiden lexicon of music. And yeah, I'm not sure how many discs I have of theirs left to get. I'd have to probably go through my collection and see and piece together the few that I'm missing, but hopefully I'll do that at some point, because there hasn't been a miss from them yet. But that's what happens when you have a good band. So that's all I got for now. I hope I did this fast enough, because I may not have enough memory on that phone to post this video. We'll find out soon enough. Toodles!